Hi, and welcome to Mike's Garage. So if you are thunderstruck on solar panels, then this update is for you. So today I'm going to give you a quick update on my Talesun panels. Got some of them set up here, and I'm going to talk about how I'm going to be rearranging all the panels in the near future. I've been really happy with these Talesun panels so far. I've got 12 of them on the ground currently. I also have some used BP Solar 175 watt panels. So these have been on the same MPPT controller, which I know isn't ideal. But to be honest, I'm getting so much output out of these Talesuns that I have more power, at least in the summertime, than what I can use. My battery bank is anywhere from 30 to 100%. I haven't seen it go below 30%. So even though the panels are dirty and you see a little bit of grass clippings, I have more power than I know what to do with. So going to be doing some changes. I'm going to be taking these Talesun panels down, and I'm going to be moving them to the other side of the property. And I'll show you that just in a moment. And I'm going to take these BP used panels, which, shoot, they're probably 20 years old at this point and probably putting out 70 to 80% of their original output. I'm going to mount them on the side of the building, kind of going across. In the wintertime, I have a little bit of an issue with sunlight. You can see my neighbor's trees right there cast one heck of a shadow. So I want to move those panels up. Now, it's not exactly the most efficient thing to do because at a 90-degree angle, I'm losing in the summertime about 60% of the output and about 30% in the winter. And I'm calculating that based on summer solstice and winter solstice. But they are used panels. They don't put out a ton. And I think it'll be perfectly fine to kind of move them up and get a little bit more sunlight, especially in the winter. So I'm going to show you next where I'm going to move these panels to. And I've already moved a bunch of them over, so follow me over here. You'll see I've got a few panels here just kind of off to the side. These are some extras. These are actually what's charging my Solus and the LG batteries. And I'm only getting part of a day of sun right now, but it's been charging it up consistently. And I have great plans for the Solus and the LG batteries, so definitely more content to come. But what I did recently is I ran all of the cable to my shop for my array that's going out here, buried the lines. So they are buried 2 feet down. I ended up using 8-gauge wire to ensure that I have minimal voltage drop. I'd have to do the calculation again, but I think it was around 1.5% is the voltage drop, which is definitely inside of NEC code. You can see that these are 2 feet down. I still need to backfill all of this. Here's the mounts that I've been using. I have a ton of them to set up. And here's some of the panels. So I have 56 panels out here. On the end, we'll go to one inverter. This will go to a different one. The one with the most panels is going to my primary. And then this will go to my last inverter. So as you remember, I have three 12,000 XP inverters, which will, essentially power the house. I've been working on my ground rods, so I've got to finish driving this one in, and it takes a little bit of time. But I have 2 ground rods, so one right here, and you can see my ground wire, and then over here is a second one. And I still need to obviously connect the ground wire to it. So each one of my solar arrays is going to be connected to it, and it will give me a very, very nice and solid ground. So essentially how my ground system works for this as far as grounding rods. First one is there. So let's just say if there was some sort of a lightning strike or stray voltage of some sort, it's going to hit this first grounding rod. You have the ground wire that's going through the earth because that's going to be buried down couple of feet. And then you have the second one here. It's going to go all the way across. And then at the shop, I've got 2 more ground rods, which I just finished pounding in. So I'll show you those. One right there. And then another one there. And I still need to pound these down to get it below the grade, below the rocks that I have. And then this end is going to go inside. Hopefully you can see this. And it's going to go into the shop, and it's going to connect to my primary inverter. So essentially, if there was some sort of an issue, it's going to hit 4 ground rods before it even goes to the inverter. So that should keep it nice and safe. When it comes to ground rods and grounding your system, there are so many different opinions on it. I've had people say that, well, if you're off grid, you don't need to have ground rods at all. I kind of disagree with that. I think that it's one large system. You should have all your devices connected together, and there should be one point of ground. And then from there, let me show you the inside real quick. I'll show you how that I'm going to bond neutral and ground. So here's my 3 inverters. The one in the center is going to be my primary, and I'll have approximately 30 amps going to it. That's that 3-row array. I'll have my ground wire come in. All 3 of these inverters, the ground and neutrals are going to be separate, of course. They're going to go into this combiner panel. And this combiner panel is going to then come out the bottom, and then we'll go towards the house. At the house, my service panel is grounded and bonded there. So it's very important to make sure that your ground neutral bond happens at one location and one location only. And from what I am told, it should be at your service panel that is closest to the source. So that's not a service panel per se, it's a combiner panel. You're going to want it to be, essentially where your breakers are at for your load. So normally that's going to be your service panel at your entrance, and that's kind of how that I'm doing it. So with these panels that are sitting right here, these Talesuns, they are going to be moved. I'll probably move them in this section over here to get more sunlight, so they get a lot less shade, especially hard shade. And it'll help keep the Talesun inverter fully charged, or the batteries, that is, the LG batteries that connect to the Talesun inverter fully charged. And then once these panels are mounted up on the wall, and these Talesuns are moved to the other side of the property, I've got these other panels. These are 24 Hughes panels that are 290 watts. These will go approximately here and fill up this whole space on the ground. And that should give me plenty of power for both summer and for winter time. So the shop is going to be all used panels, but all my new Talesuns, which I can't say enough good things about because the output is just massive. Those are all going to be for the house, and I'll have 56 panels total for the house, which would give me more than enough power, with the exception of maybe in the winter time. But hopefully with having 130 kilowatt hours of batteries, I should be able to store enough energy. I also will have a transfer switch at the house. So worst case scenario, I can always flip back to grid. But just to recap, for installing the panels in not really an optimal way, and having them to where there's a good amount of shade, which you could already see over here, these have been performing quite well. Panels are cheap. I didn't pay that much for these Talesun panels. I think that they were a heck of a deal. Actually, Signature Solar in general has a heck of a deal on panels, in which you can buy them by the pallet, and I ended up getting 2 pallets from them. But I would just get, if you're doing a ground mount, just get extra panels, my opinion. And if you have some soft shade and not hard shade, get some more panels. You can get ground mounts extremely inexpensive, or you can make your own. You can see back here, it's just on wood that I preserved. So I took some wood that was from fallen trees. I then charred it with a torch, and there you go. It kind of preserves it. But I mean, you can do a very inexpensive way of mounting them, especially on the ground. And if you have the room, which not everybody has room, and I totally get it, but you can, essentially just have the extra panels, and it will overcome, in my opinion, different scenarios that you might come across for additional power required. So hopefully that helps. Just wanted to give you all a quick update. When I am configuring all this stuff, reconfiguring it all, I'm going to be down without power from these panels. So what I'm going to do is the panels that are on the other field, I'll have a couple rows of them set up, and I'll just kind of wire it to one of my inverters inside for the shop as a temporary situation to kind of keep the shop powered. Once I have all of my used panels set up and they're mounted in their new orientation, what I'm going to do after that is then I can start wiring up my inverters for the house and start moving forward with that. The goal for the house is to essentially have it up and running by the end of the year. So I know that's coming up pretty fast. So I'm working on getting that done and hoping to take advantage of the tax credit before it expires. So that's about it. Thanks again for watching Mike's Garage. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment.